This year's model is based on 2 guitars that I own from 1955, and they just found a third in Copper Iridescent. And you know, I don't know how the camera's going to perceive this, but if you start twisting it, it's like one of those like new cars that change color.
Very subtle. It's great.
And it looks brown, and then it looks copper, and they did a really good job tracking down the original paint color and doing these brown ones, and they're based on 2 1955 Copper Iridescent Les Pauls that I own. One came out of I believe Minnesota. The second one came out of Yuma, Arizona. And the third one just showed up in Minnesota again. So you could tell they were just, it was a standardized color. There's just not many of them. And I was talking to Matt Kaler and I said, you know, we have never done a P-90 guitar. And, you know, I'm known as a humbucking kind of player, but the P-90s are always great. And I own a lot of P-90 Les Pauls, and they're great for, they clean up really well.
You know, it's weird. It's almost like the P-90 is like the underdog pickup. Like, it's not like, I don't know, people don't think they can rock out with it enough, or it's like it's powerful enough.
You know, Leslie West did really well with them.
Yeah.
Charlie Starr does really well with them.
Does.
Jared James Nichols does really well with them. And, you know, most of people, you know, who are real dyed-in-the-wool Gibson people, like, you know, they'll say, you know, behind closed doors, you know, when the internet's not watching, that their favorite pickup is a P-90. My rig is set to humbuckers, so you have to set your gain structures and your amps to humbucking pickups.
Yeah.
But you know, if you put this through like, you know, this little Class A Gibson amp, and you know, it's really nice because it's cleaner. Yeah, that little sparkle on top, the humbucking pickup doesn't do it. I can already tell you this one sounds better than one of my original 55s because the second one I found in Yuma, Arizona, Jay and Trevor Boone found it, still has the original flat wound strings on it that came from the factory. So I haven't changed them, and they're pretty honest. But the guitar's only all original one time.
Holy smoke. So now you got the first guitar, were you just kind of like on a thing now to like try and find more of them? Like,
I thought, you know, as a collector, you have to say to yourself, you know, like if you know, like most collectors, it's all about flexing and Instagram, and it's like, here's the only one. It's like, you can never say that because the next one will show up and then the next one will show up. Gibson was a factory in the 50s. They would make them. So if you called Gibson and said, I wanted a black standard, they made them. They just didn't make a lot of them. You know, I think they made a couple in white, and those are, you know, unobtainium, but, you know, it's a thing. So never say as a collector you have the only one in existence, because chances are a good guitar hunter or the world will, here comes the second one.
Yes.
And I'm lucky enough to own 2 of the 3 known ones, and two's enough for me. And I also have a 72 in the same color.
Really? Okay.
So it was a standard color. Copper Iridescent was a standard color. And so, you know, the cool thing about this guitar is it looks black sometimes. It looks brown, and it looks like if the light really hits it, it looks as advertised, Copper Iridescent, and it's got the same brown knobs, barrel knobs that came with the original ones. And you know, the build quality on Epiphone has always impressed me. And because I know that this guitar, which is just a random one that happens to be here, feels exactly the same as the prototype, and it will also feel exactly the same as the 1000th one that comes off the line. I've seen thousands of my Epiphones, and they're very, very consistent. And this year we got this standard one down to $849, which is a really good deal for a Les Paul. Deal. And I wanted to go back to doing guitars that were under $900
with the case.
With the case, you know, you don't just get a gig bag anymore. You get a hard case.
No, the case is great.
And the hardware is great, and as you can see, it sounds fine. And you know, these are ready to rock, and you can rule the world with them. I'm just happy we did a P-90 guitar because it was long overdue. We'd done Flying V's and and we've done 355s. We did the SG last year. We've done Cadillac Green Les Pauls. We've done, I've lost track of how many we've done.
It's not a bad thing, not a bad problem.
I don't actually have one of each.
No.
I give them away to my friends.
What about the SGs we did last? No?
I usually just give them away for charity.
Okay.
You know, if some charity calls up and says, hey, we need a signed guitar, because I get like 4 or 5 free ones every year. And I make sure they come to my storage locker because they'll disappear. Management will start giving them away. So I just, you know, or if just a random young guitar player needs a good instrument to take on the road, just go take it.
It's amazing, man. I'm glad that you kept the price down too.
And you know, that's the whole point of all of this. It's not the cork sniffing. It's not the value of vintage stuff. It's getting a good instrument in somebody's hands and letting them use their own creativity to you know, make a career. You know?
Right.
So these are all just vessels for someone's career.